Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on the Great Reset and crypto. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about the Great Reset and crypto, but in this video, I'm going to focus a lot on Ripple. Because there's a lot of things that go on with Ripple that a lot of people don't even know about. And it's happening in the background. But it makes me want to buy more XRP at the same time. Because Ripple's actions will lead to XRP skyrocketing in price. And this is part 2 of that other video. So I'm going to start this video the same way. If you want to get to a time where Ripple is backed by gold or moving the value of gold, the Great Reset has to happen first. In the last video, I talked about how the Great Reset is happening in real time in the real world. Now I'm going to show you how it's happening inside of the crypto space as well. What are unrealized capital gains and why are policymakers in support of unrealized gain tax? Let's say you buy a stock for $10 and it rises to $20. That's a fantastic return, but you haven't sold the stock yet. That $10 increase is an unrealized capital gains, meaning it's only on paper. Currently, you don't pay taxes on unrealized gains. However, some policymakers are proposing an unrealized capital gains tax. An unrealized capital gains tax would tax investors on the increased value of their assets, even if they haven't sold them. So, say you're holding XRP. It's around 50 cents right now. Say it rises to $1, but you don't sell, and then it drops back down to 50 cents. You owe taxes on the rise of 50 cents to $1. Even though you never cashed it out, you still owe those taxes. At the same time, they're also talking about raising the capital gains tax as well. Why? Because crypto is our ticket out. It's our way out of the broken system. And they don't want that. They don't want you getting rich. They want to keep you tied to the US dollar. It's all part of crushing the middle class. The World Economic Forum has estimated that AI will replace around 85 million jobs by next year. It also says it will create 97 million new jobs. Be ahead of the curve and look at upskilling. Now, I think that 97 million new jobs, that's an overinflated number. However, I think AI is definitely going to take a lot of jobs throughout the rest of this year and even into next year. The implementation of a $20 minimum wage in California is not working how they thought. Instead of aiding low-income workers, it is reportedly causing job cuts and increased automation. Additionally, the higher operational costs that businesses are incurring may lead to price hikes. This is reducing consumer demand and prompting some franchises to relocate to states with more favorable economic conditions. So now we're going to see more jobs, more businesses leave California, and more jobs are going to be taken over by automation. And Biden talked about a $20 minimum wage being a great idea for the entire country. So all of a sudden you go out to eat and it costs you even more. At the same time, it's not helping unemployment because people are losing their jobs to automation at the same time. This leads to UBI, Universal Basic Income. Shaping the future of learning, the role of AI in Education 4.0. So we already talked about Industry 4.0. Now we're seeing Education 4.0. The reason they're calling it 4.0 is because we're in the Industrial Revolution, the fourth Industrial Revolution. So, importance of AI in education. The report emphasizes that if AI is effectively deployed, it can help address challenges in the education systems and enable Education 4.0, which focuses on equipping learners with future-ready skills, attitudes, and values, enhancing teaching roles, refined assessment and analytics, supporting AI and digital literacy, personalized learning experiences. So it looks like this will most likely replace teaching jobs in the future. It'll be replaced by AI, and your children will learn whatever the AI is taught to teach in the classroom. I'm not a fan of that either. A visualization of the results of a World Economic Forum report, estimating how different job departments will be exposed to AI disruption. So they're saying it's going to affect IT the most, and finance, customer sales, operations, HR, marketing, legal, and the supply chain. Now, when it comes to HR, that's a big one. And here's why. I always said we're going to have a digital ID. It's going to be tied to your work history. It's also going to be tied to your health records. So when you go in and sit down with the HR robot, it will already know your previous work history. And maybe you have a small health condition that you're medicated for, but it doesn't keep you from going to work. The AI will automatically, most likely, eliminate you and opt to hire someone with no health problems at all. AI in HR can lead to more people becoming unemployed. Artificial intelligence powered by machine learning algorithm is finding its way into the financial system. Now we know AI is going to be part of the new financial system. It's going to be at the heart of all of it. And you always thought, well, a human is going to be on the other end, keeping you from accessing the internet if you say something they don't like. Or a human would be the one keeping you from buying something that they don't want you buying, or keeping track of all your purchases. No, it's going to be AI handling that in real time inside the new financial system. That's why we're watching blockchain and AI coming together right now. But what they're talking about in this article is AI working at banks. So say you go in and you apply for a credit card or a loan. The AI is the one that makes that decision, whether or not you get the loan. But this, again, can also keep people from getting loans. Maybe they end up losing their house because they couldn't refinance it and they have some problems with debt that they're in and they want to take care of that debt, but now they can't because they can't refinance because AI said no. The World Economic Forum recently boasted in a new white paper that 98% of all central banks are now pursuing CBDC programs. The World Economic Forum boasts this because they want a cashless society. And do you ever wonder why they want a cashless society? Well, think about it. When you use cash, there's no record of that transaction happening. Cash gives you a lot of freedom. However, if they put you on digital money, all that freedom ends. They can control what you buy. They can shut your money off if they don't like things that you're doing. And that's why they want to push us towards a cashless society. And Ripple also plays a very big role in this. With that, it is important to note that Ripple has been one of the leading providers as its CBDC platform offers an all-in-one solution that provides governments with everything they need to deploy and maintain a reliable CBDC. And everybody always says, well, when is XRP going to take off? When am I going to get rich from my XRP? Well, it's going to happen in a few ways. Tokenization is going to play a very big part of that. Custody is going to add value as well. Carbon credits are going to become a major thing inside of the Great Reset. That's just another tax on us. But also CBDCs. XRP is going to be used to move money from one CBDC to another. And you could see this coming together in real time right now. Whenever you get a headline that a country is piloting or testing a CBDC, most likely they're almost ready to deploy a CBDC. And what about, how do we get to that point though? Well, we also need regulations. Stablecoin bill could be ready for the US House soon. EU anti-money laundering bill passes final vote. Like I kept telling you, we are going to have global crypto regulations because everything that's happening in the EU is now happening inside the United States. They pass a stablecoin bill. The US goes to work on a stablecoin bill. They pass an anti-money laundering bill. The US starts working on an anti-money laundering bill. You see how we're running parallel with the EU right now. And the stablecoin bill is the first step towards that CBDC. Ripple versus SEC. This is something else that I think had to happen for a reason. I don't think it's coincidence that Ripple got tied up with the SEC. I'm sure Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan had something to do with that, most likely Goldman Sachs as well. But I think this also happened by design because Ripple, as long as it gets cleared by the SEC, it can push forward. I think Ripple is also tied to the US CBDC, which I'll explain in a minute. But XRP also had to have regulatory clarity so it could be used all around the world. Now, I think the US is going to have two CBDCs. One is going to be Ripple's stablecoin, most likely tied to bank transactions, business to business, business to bank. USDC will be tied to Stellar, person-to-person payments, cross-border remittances. And I think that's what we're going to see happen. I think we're already leaning in that direction now that the US is outlawing Tether. Same thing happened in the EU. You take notice, we had a headline. Tether cannot pass MiCA regulations. US right away starts cracking down on Tether. It's all happening on purpose. The robots, drones, and AI pay each other with crypto, you say. Ripple looks to be part of that plan. The timeline is accelerating. Skynet is already active. The reason I wanted to mention this, I did a Great Reset video last year, and I remember somebody in the comment section said, Rich, do you think Ripple is our version of Skynet in the real world? And you know, if you look at where Ripple is positioned, XRP is going to move the world's money. CBDCs are coming. Once you go live with a CBDC in a country, that's when you pass the point of no return because it instantly gets embedded into that country's financial system. I think the US is going to deploy their CBDC before the next election because it will instantly get embedded into our financial system. It'll be tied into the welfare system, Social Security, even military payments will be tied in with that. There'll be so many things tied into that CBDC so quick that you will never be able to go back. You will be beyond the point of no return. Digital ID and mass surveillance, CBDC, no jobs, you will have UBI. No house, no car, 15-minute cities, no meat, you will eat bugs. You will own nothing and you will not be happy. Look at this headline from the World Economic Forum. Psychologists say a good life doesn't have to be happy or even meaningful. I did a Great Reset video, I think back in 2022, and that Hugo Navari said, well, they're just going to put chips in people's brains. and they could be sitting in an empty room, but they will still be happy because the chip will control their mood. And I think they're also pushing us in that direction. Remember, under the fourth industrial revolution, they want to merge people with machines. Digital ID, I think that's going to be really implemented because of open borders. CBDC, we already know, is coming. Jobs will disappear under AI, and you'll end up on the universal basic income. And a lot of people don't think that's going to happen. People are going to line up for that UBI. Wait and see. No house. They're already pricing you out of houses. People can't even afford rent. No car. They're already pushing away from gas-powered cars. Get an EV. We'll give you all kinds of government incentives to drive an EV. Sorry, but I'll keep my gas-powered vehicle. 15-minute cities are being built and people don't even realize it in the United States. All it takes is a couple roads to be changed. And before you know it, you are in a 15-minute city. And there's a list out there of cities that are already going in that direction. Ripple compatible chip development sponsored by US Navy. Now, when it comes to this chip, I don't care if I even have to give up all of my XRP. I am never, ever getting this chip. What this lady says at the beginning of this video, it's very important. Take a listen.
Well, if you look at the planning and the design and the competition.
Take notice that key word. She says there's competition in building that chip that they want to put inside of you.
It's fluid right now. There's competition over what the design will be. It was very interesting. I won't bore you with all the details, but I had an incredible experience in Denmark a year ago, and I was trying to figure out what's going on in Denmark. They had one of the tech firms in Denmark was being paid by the US Navy to come up with a chip that could be implanted in the human body that would integrate with Ripple. Yeah. So Ripple is a crypto, and it's one that's gotten a lot of promotion from the American establishment, in my experience, just my impression. So why is the US Navy paying a Danish tech company to come up with an implantable chip that will integrate with Ripple?
So think about this. Now, that video was back in April of 2020. Take notice, she said that Ripple has a lot of ties to the US establishment. So if Ripple had ties to the US establishment, why did in December Ripple end up in a court case with the SEC? It doesn't make sense. Ripple had to go through that court case for a reason. Maybe it was meant that Ripple needed to be slowed down for a couple years. Maybe it needed to be slowed down until they get regulations in place. There could be a lot of reasons that happen. And take notice how she said the chip will be integrated with RippleNet technology. And most likely to use XRP, it might require you to have that chip. Now, here's the good thing. Since then, a lot of people said that they would take the chip in a ring form. And now some companies are pushing in that direction. We got to see where this goes from here. But one thing I will tell you is I'm never getting a chip put inside me. Now, we know Ripple has ties to the US establishment, but look at the ties Ripple has to all the other establishments of the world. The IMF is working with Ripple to utilize XRP to disrupt the traditional financial system and create a clean slate system. This thread breaks down that vision. I'm not going to go through this whole thread, but this is that meeting where you see Brad there with Christine Lagarde. You see the guy from Swift right here. The IMF is there. Then you see Jesse Chang. IMF used to work for Ripple. And this tells you everything that you need to know about holding XRP. It shows you XRP is going to be a high-priced cryptocurrency. Then you get to the World Economic Forum. Brad is the CEO of Ripple and a member of the board of directors. Prior to Ripple, Brad served as the CEO of file collaboration service Hightail. Previously, he was the president of consumer applications at AOL, and it tells you all the places Brad worked. But he's on the board of directors at the World Economic Forum. And the World Economic Forum right now is pushing the Great Reset. Avoid CBDC at all cost. Now, this is how you could break away from a CBDC. Now, they're saying use cash more. Stop using your cards, Apple Pay. Buy gold if you can. Now, here's the problem. Retail can't stop what's coming. Even if we all stopped using cash, the big financial institutions would still push towards a CBDC. And at some point, they would just eliminate cash anyway, in my opinion. I think we're going to have a parallel system. We're going to have CBDC and cash, but you're going to get incentives to use the CBDC. Then cash will disappear. They are intentionally crashing fiat in a controlled demolition to usher in CBDC on their timeline. The only way we win is to crash fiat first and get people using P2P crypto, gold, and silver in parallel economies. So they're saying that that we need to set up a system that will run parallel to their system. And we can actually crush the fiat system. We could crash it out. How do you do that? You just keep pulling all your money out of the bank. Eventually, the banks will collapse. But I still don't know if we could stop what's coming, because I think a lot of this is already implemented. In other words, I think it's happening behind the scenes, and I think we're way beyond where we actually think we are when it comes to CBDCs. But I might be wrong. What's your opinion? Put it in the comments section down below. You're wrong on lockdowns. Fear might have been a distraction to inflate the rich assets before the inevitable cycle ends. That is done. Next step is deflation. Consolidate the banks. Strengthen the dollar. Make people beg for CBDC and UBI. What I think is actually going to happen is inflation's going to keep raging on. We're going to end up in hyperinflation at some point. The banks definitely will be consolidated. It's easier to connect them to CBDC. They're not going to strengthen the dollar. In fact, the dollar is going to get weaker as we push into the future. People will beg for CBDC and UBI, though. They will line up for miles to get on UBI. Wait and see. That will happen. But that's the next phase, in my opinion. No more lockdowns. Now, I talked about this briefly in another video, how young people are opting out of America. And it's true. They're leaving the country. But this is going to affect the entire world. Every single country is going to have a CBDC. Every single country is going to push towards cashless society. The only way I see of breaking away from this is enriching yourself while you still can. The good thing is you're already on that path. You already hold XRP. And I think that's our way away from a CBDC. That's my honest opinion. Because the rich are not going to live under this system. And if you become extremely rich off of your XRP, you can break away from this system as well. This was a very lengthy video, and I wanted to take my time with these two videos because I wanted to make sense of everything that you see happening. And this video just showed you how many ties Ripple actually has. Ripple is already embedded in BRICS. It's embedded in the Fed. It's embedded in a lot of the CBDCs all around the world. And at some point, they are going to flip the switch on all of this. And we are going to get very rich at a very fast pace. In other words, like an overnight event. But until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.